Canines are our passion. They are our addiction. They are our way of life, right down to the very core. And without them, we would be lost. The canines of this world really are something to behold. They assist us at work. They accompany us at home. And they perform for us in the field. No matter where we go, they are by our side. Canines really are a ride or die, and for that, we are grateful. This podcast will showcase working canines of various breeds and disciplines as we search for those canines and their handlers who are always striving to be the best at what they do. Those who are always grinding. Those who are always pushing the limits. Those who are always dogging. Join us on our adventures as it is sure to be a wild ride. I'm your host, Bryce Matthews.
And I'm your co-host, Stephen Basham.
And this is Semper Doggin'. God bless it. I tell you what, you guys are rough on a guy. You know that? You're rough on a guy.
Oh, yeah. We know.
Never. We all say that. We're coon hunters. My dog's never done that. Lane, has your dog ever done something dumb and you said my dog's never done that?
Hey, man, all the time. All the time. I'd be lying to you if I said it they didn't.
The worst part of all that is when you go, man, he ain't never done that. And you know darn good and well that everybody's looking at you thinking you're a liar.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You feel
That's
like
why whenever mine
that tall.
That's when mine does, and I'm like, yeah, he's junk. He does this all the time.
Yeah.
Reach down and pat him on the head a couple times.
Well, it's a good thing I already hit the record button now, so everybody knows when Stephen Basham says my dog has never done that, they know he's a liar. Guys, welcome to the first official Semper Doggin' podcast where we have another guest on here. If you guys tuned in to our last episode, you heard it was just me and Basham cutting up, shooting a crap, just talking to you guys kind of about where this podcast is going to be heading. We're super glad that you're joining us. If you guys have followed along for any time with me on the Deep and Lonely podcast, I sure enough appreciate you for that. And I'm hoping that by adding a co-host on here, adding somebody else who's knowledgeable about hounds, canines, dog sports, that this podcast is going to go to new heights. It's going to go to new levels, and you guys are going to be able to get all kinds of content that's just different from what you're getting. It's not so mundane. It's not focused on one niche deal, and that's kind of what we're hoping to do here. So to start things off right, though, we have recruited a guest today from the southern half. Well, I don't know. Are you southern? Are you more southern or more western?
So I'm in northeast Oklahoma, so if you want to call that the Midwest part of the states, I don't know where you call it. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, really.
Legend.
Do you follow the Midwest versus everybody on Facebook? Do those memes apply to you?
I don't. I don't follow that. I'm gonna have to check it out. I guess
Yeah, it's all
good.
Oh, it's great. It's great memes all about the Midwest. And so, I mean, that's how I usually can tell if somebody's Midwest or not. Do the memes apply to you or not? So you're going to have to check it out.
I don't know. I'll check that out and I'll get back with you on that one.
I think we're behind the times on the memes.
Guys, well, if you haven't recognized that voice before, you're going to know it after this podcast. That is the familiar voice of Mr. Lane Denny from Oklahoma. Lane, how are you today, brother?
Man, I'm good. How you guys?
I can't complain. Basham? What's going on in your end of the world?
Good. Little under the weather, but hey, you got to fight through it.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
I know. That's what I always tell you.
I know. You tell me that all the time.
We'll be out hunting, and Bryce will go, oh, man, let's just load them up. Let's just go home. I'll be like, suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go.
Oh, man. Lane, what are you working on right now? What's your project? We're going to get into what your has-beens and what you've been winning with, but what do you got going on right now?
Man, I'm hunting. I've got an 11-month-old pup off a shop, and this pup's mama's off a Z3 and Hoochie Mama. We call him Juice. I'm partners with him on a man. Mike Reed is his name. Mike has started this puppy. So I think he started treeing coons about 5.5 months old, and I recently got him probably about 3 weeks ago, and just been hunting him pretty hard and really trying to. It's crazy to say this, but trying to kind of get him ready for this spring coming up. And he'll be a fall 1-year-old. So I've just been pleasure hunting him and pleasure hunting Shot, and I've got another puppy off a Shot that's be a half sibling to this male pup that I've been hunting, and really just pleasure hunting them pups and trying to get them right, really.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into that here in a little bit, because one thing that I do want to pick your brain on is Shot, and not so much what he's won, because if anybody knows anything about coon hunting, competition coon hunting, they know what he's won. But I want to get into how you pleasure hunted him last winter, because I believe you went through a little spell there where you said you just got back to the basics with him and did some pleasure hunting, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. We had to hit the reset button on him.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, if you haven't before, Lane has been on several podcasts. This is not his first podcast. This ain't his first rodeo. So what we don't like to do, we don't like to talk about the same stuff everybody talked about. But we still need you to know who Lane is if you haven't ever heard him before. And we appreciate you, tuning into our podcast to get the info. So Lane, give us just a brief description, who you are, where you're from, when you started coon hunting, and then we're going to start, just building this up to where we are today.
Yeah, man, I'm 27 now, I guess. It's crazy to think that. I don't even know how old I am, but yeah, I guess
I'm got to think about how old he is.
Yeah. That's when you know you're getting old. But 27, live in Oklahoma, the northeast part of the state. Married to a pretty good woman. Gotta shout her out. Yeah, man, I'm just a simple guy. I'm a diesel mechanic for a living. I don't coon hunt for a living. A lot of people think I do. A lot of people think, man, he hunt for a living. No, I don't. I still work from 9 to 5. I got banker hours. Thankfully, I work for my brother. But yeah, man, I'm just a simple guy, I guess.
Well, when did you get into the coon hunting thing? Is this something that it has always been? Did you grow up doing it? Did you get into it in your teen years? When did you get into it?
Yeah, so actually my dad got me into it. Just a quick little backstory. My dad done it growing up. He just had pleasure hounds, man. They'd run deer, tree pot. They're just crazy. I mean, they might tree a coon every once in a while, but so my mom's family and my dad's family is kind of family friends, and they kind of they grew up just a couple miles from each other. But my dad, when he was in high school, he would, like, through the woods, it was like 3 miles from my mom's house, and he'd turn them dogs loose. And of course, back then, his dogs, they wouldn't go hunting hardly. They'd kind of hunt around him. Well, he'd walk all the way to my mom's house and shoot whatever they'd tree, possums, coons, whatever. And then he'd hunt all the way home. But so my dad got me into it when I was 12. He bought me a couple pups, and man, my brother got into it with me. My brother's 9 years older than me, but he got into it with me too. But we started them 2 pups, and I'll be honest with you, man, the rest is history. It's crazy. The first time that I ever went, I just knew that I'd be doing this as long as I was able to walk. Man, I'll be coon hunting, and I knew that. It was hook, line, and sinker. It was just something that I guess it was a bug that bit me. I guess it was kind of like a drug for a drug addict, but I've just been doing it ever since, man.
It's an addiction for sure.
I mean, I can agree with that. Like, the first time I really went coon hunting was in college, and addiction, like you said, I knew from the right then and there, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm getting a late start on this, but this is what I'm going to do. It's kind of crazy. When a bug bites you, it's there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's one of them deals where you either got it or you don't, and I think coon hunting is unlike anything else. Once you do it and you love it, there might be a time in your life where you might grow away from it, go to college or whatever, but man, you'll always find yourself back at it. And that's kind of something I did too. When I went to college, I thought, man, I'm going to sell my stuff. And so anyways, I kept my dog, I kept Emmy, and I sold my box, I sold my rifle, I sold everything. And long story short, I went to college about 30 minutes, didn't know it at the time, but I went to college about 30 minutes from George Major's house. And if if you're a coon hunter, you know who the legend is. George Major Jr. And so, anyways, I knew who he was, obviously, and I didn't know he lived that close. But, anyways, I hooked up with him, ended up bringing my dog up and bought all my stuff, bought another Garmin, bought another box. I ended up getting back into it. I was out of it for about 3 months, I guess. I wasn't out of it very long. But
just enough to upgrade all your equipment.
Yeah.
I've done that a time or two.
Well, guys, what we really want to talk about here is Emmy, and you heard Lane mention her earlier. That's the dog he had when he was in college, and that's the one thing he didn't sell. I bet you're glad you didn't, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That dog has been an absolute blessing to me and my family, and everybody that's hunted her. I've had a couple guys hunt her. She's just been an awesome blessing. It's unreal. It's crazy to think the way a coonhound can bless somebody, and do what she's done for me and my family. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's a good deal.
Yeah. So Spavinaw Creek, Insane Emmy. Where did the Spavinaw Creek come from? Is that a creek around your house? Like, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the creek that I grew up coon hunting as a kid. That was the creek. The very first time I ever went coon hunting was on Spavinaw Creek. My dad I grew up on about a 90-acre farm, I think it was, and it kind of joined the creek there. And man, we would coon hunt all the way down that creek, and so that's kind of where I got my start at. And I've had dogs before her, and I never really named anything like that. I just, whatever was on their papers, I would just put them in my name. I didn't really have a thing. And I got her, and man, I just knew she was something special. And I thought, man, I just want to name her after that, because, that creek bottom is what hooked me into this thing, and what's really ultimately come to change my life forever, So that's where I got that. And the insane part of it, a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, she off of, Insane Cane or anything like that. And she don't go back to none of that. But when she was a puppy, man, she acted insane. Like, you could have her tied to a truck, and if somebody walked by, you think she's going to eat them alive. Just be underneath the truck, growling at them, and she was just crazy acting. But
really,
she grew out of that, of course, with age. But we just called her that, and it just kind of stuck with her.
So, did you get her as a pup? Like, have you done all the training and everything on her?
Yeah, man. I got her. She was 10 months old when I bought her. I got her from a guy that lives not far over here from me, and she had actually she was natural. He hunted her probably 3 or 4 nights, and I think she treated coon the first night he turned her loose. This guy goes through a lot of dogs. He's not real good about keeping one, and I had to, go back a little bit. I had a blue tick. Yeah, I hunted blue ticks, believe it or not.
Man,
but
we don't need Chris Powell to hear that. Goodness gracious.
I hate to even admit that, but no, I had a blue tick, and he was a good one, man. And I didn't have a tracking system or nothing. I lost him, and I just thought it. I mean, it just took the air out of me. I wanted to quit. So I'd been looking for a dog, and I had a couple. I'd been through a couple dogs, and I even at the time I actually had a black and tan. And
were you scraping the bottom of the barrel, or what were you doing here?
He was singing the blues after losing the blue tick.
Yes, something. I don't know what I had going on. I was at a dark point in my life, I guess you could say.
Well, he was singing the blues, and then he went to a dark place in his life, and he went to black and tans.
And I've been all over the board.
And then he saw the light, and he got a walker.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Some nights I wonder. Some nights I wish I'd have stayed a blue tick pleasure hunter. But no, I had that black and tan, and I'd heard about this dog, Emmy, and I hit the guy up, and I'm like, hey, I heard you got a pretty nice walker female. And he's like, man, she's just a puppy. I've just hunted her a couple times, but she has treated coon. And this guy likes trading around on dogs. And I said, hey, I've got a black and tan. And the black dog would treat a coon. He wasn't nothing like the blue tick I had was, And I'm like, hey, I'll do some swapping with you. So anyways, I traded him that black and tan and $450 for her. And she was a 10-month-old puppy. And I got her, and man, the rest is history. I mean, I went to hunting her, and I knew from the first night I turned her loose, she actually didn't tree a coon for me for a little while. The first night I turned her loose, she run junk. And actually, I think she run a coyote, and she run this coyote into a brush pile. But I just knew, she had heart. You turned her loose with dogs, even as a 10-month-old puppy, man, she'd just be over to herself, through there. And that's the same way that blue dog was. And I just knew that was the type of hound that I wanted. I knew if I was going to competition hunt, that was the type of hound that I needed to have to compete. And so I just seen that, those tools in her, and I just went to hunting her, and she was all I had. So just me and her, and man, I coon hunted her hard. I remember several nights, I would literally go home. I would hunt all night. I'd go home and take a shower, might take an hour nap and get up and go to school. And it's just crazy, but that's how we were. We hunted, I hunted the heck out of her. But
what's she off of?
She's actually not off anything special. Her daddy's a dog called Gorgeous Gomer. Ronnie Patton owns him from Tennessee. And Gomer, he goes back to Bulldozer, Smith's Bulldozer, and they say that's where she gets her color from. The guys that I've kind of talked to about her, because she's kind of a high tan looking dog. Those that haven't ever seen her, but and then she goes back to James Atwell's nighttime, that Savage dog, and but nothing special. She goes back to Rat Attack a couple times and maybe Naylor a couple times, but nothing great, nothing that you'd think, man, that right there, she's bred out of this world,
Yeah. Sometimes them dogs like that, they make the best ones, and buddy, she has proved to be a good one for you. How old is she now?
She is 11. She is 11 years old.
Is she really?
Yep. Yeah, she's a 2012 model.
I'm telling you, I really didn't think she was that old now.
Yeah, she turned 11 in May.
Holy cow. Well, that guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little mind blown right now. That's crazy. So you got her, you trained her as a pup. Obviously, you went to hunting her hard, started winning with her. Let's start out in 2014. Anything special happened then? The Semper Doggin Podcast is proudly presented to you by Froggy Bottom Outdoors. Opening in February of 2024, Froggy Bottom Outdoors is the newest outdoor and hunting supply, habitat management, and livestock feed provider in the Midwest. With a wide variety of products, a unique business model, and a dedicated team of individuals who are eager to provide their customers with an unparalleled shopping experience, you will not have to search any further than Froggy Bottom Outdoors. With brands such as Garmin, Yoder Nylon, Banks Hunting Blinds, Purina Mills, Kalmbach Feeds, Antler King, Inukshuk, Real World Products, and many more, Froggy Bottom Outdoors has you covered from the farm to the woods. Visit FroggyBottomOutdoors.com and follow them on Facebook to see how they can help you. Not finding what you're looking for online? No problem. Feel free to give the store a call at 765-330-2098. The team at Froggy Bottom Outdoors is excited to get to know you and will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Remember, Froggy Bottom Outdoors is opening next month, February 2024.
Yeah. So 2014, I put her in some hunts and some, open hunts and stuff. And I'm pretty sure I won 1,000 for nationals. Of course, I don't know in 2014. I don't know how old I was. I don't think I was driving yet, but so I would just go to hunts when I could, but I ended up winning her money for nationals and took her to the Youth World Hunt and found some luck out there and got lucky and made the Final Four of that deal and ended up winning it somehow. But it's just one of them deals. She performed good, but we caught some really good breaks along the way. It was just a hunt we was meant to win, I feel like.
That's what it takes to win. You know that. Sometimes it's not just about the ability. Sometimes, you take a guy that's meant to win something, and it just seems like it's like the carpet's rolled out for him. That's just
absolutely. I've been on both sides of it. I've been in hunts where I'm thinking there's no way I can possibly lose this cast and get blown out of the water. Get beat or catch a bad break or something. And then I've been on casts where I'm like, man, I should not win this cast. Prime example, she made the finals of the Youth Handler Showdown the year that we won the Youth World Hunt. I drew a Hillbilly Deluxe. I drew the Awesome Dog that won the PKC World Hunt a couple years prior to that, and the Sundown Shine female. And here I am hunting a 2-year-old young dog, and I'm thinking there is absolutely no way that I'm going to win this cast, And anyways, that was early, and she treed 2 coons, nothing else treed a coon, and we won and went to the final cast of that deal, And it was just one of them deals, You just can't ever tell. But I'm like you, Basham. I feel like when a guy's meant to win something, there ain't nothing that can stop him. I feel like he's going to catch every stinking break he needs, and when you're not meant to win, when you're in a slump, it's the same way. It's this sport is a sport of highs and lows. Absolutely, it's unreal. It's crazy.
It's humbling for sure.
Yeah, it is absolutely. That's the best way to describe it. It is a very humbling sport. Very humbling.
The minute you think you're on top, here comes the axe.
I've always told guys, something I've learned. You can hunt as hard as you want to hunt, and you can have one as ready as you think you got it. But you throw all that out the window when you line them up against 3 other ones and cut them loose in the cast. I mean, especially on the bigger levels, because every dog's going to treat coons. I mean, it's just going to be, honestly, some guys like, I don't believe in luck, and I disagree with them. I feel like, if whoever a lot of the times when you turn 4 good ones loose at the same time, whoever catches a break is more than likely going to win the cast. I mean, one break could win a cast or could lose a cast for somebody.
For sure. So 2014, you can't even drive yet. You're still hunting this dog like crazy. You go out, you win the Youth World Champion, or the PKC Youth World Championship. Next year, 2015, you take her to the CHKC Youth World, and you put her in the final 3 of that hunt. Is that luck?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm going to count it to. I just hunted her, man, and I had her. She was on a roll. I mean, that goes back to being lucky. I think, when you get on a roll, you better keep going. We won the Youth World Hunt in October, and the following spring was the CHKC Youth World Hunt. And, she looked good out there. She done what she had to do. It was good cast, made the final 3, caught a bad break in the final 3, honestly, it could have cost us the world championship, but it is what it is. We ended up 3rd, so it is what we just blessed to be in the final 3 of another Youth World Hunt. It was cool. It was a cool experience.
To give you a little credit, Lane, I mean, it's also where, hard work meets luck. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can get lucky, but I mean, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it too. Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like, I just, it's one of them deals. I've always said this, and it don't matter what it is in life in general, but the harder you work, sometimes the luckier you'll get, and just kind of like you said, I mean, it's you gotta be prepared for whenever, it is your time. I mean, you gotta have your ducks in a row, and your work has got to be put in. I mean, that's 99% of it, in my opinion. I mean, you got to be ready for whenever you do get lucky and catch a few breaks,
Yeah. So then you didn't stop there in 2015. The Oklahoma State. Tell us about that with UKC.
Yeah. So the Oklahoma State UKC hunt was held in Adair, Oklahoma. So when I was a kid, back up a little bit, got to give a little bit of credit. Carl Reed, I give Carl Reed half interest in Emmy. He tried his best to buy her. I knew what I had. I didn't want to get rid of her, but he was a great dog, man. She was a young dog. I had a lot to learn myself about training dogs, and so I told him, I'm like, I tell you what I'll do, man. I'm like, I've heard nothing but good about you. I'll give you half of her if you want to take her and hunt her and help me along. Just kind of give me pointers here and there. And he hauled us around before we had our license, and he took us to Youth World Hunt, stuff like that. But it was the state UKC hunt was held at his club, and I believe I was a freshman in college. I had Emmy. I wasn't even hunting her a whole lot yet at this point. I don't think I'd met George yet. I didn't know George lived up there, but I left from college on a Friday and drove down there and got lucky and won my cast both nights. And back then it was, the high scoring double cast winner was your state champion. They didn't have a final cast hunt off or nothing like that, like we do our state hunt now. But we ended up winning our cast both nights and ended up winning the Oklahoma State UKC championship. And it was a cool thing. That was a goal that I'd always wanted to win. You see, it's always a big hunt to win. I feel like, and it was a cool experience. We won a dog box, and I've still got that dog box today. I told myself when I won that thing, I'm like, I'm never going to get rid of that dog box. It was probably, I won the Youth World Hunt, and that was a cool experience and that plaque. But that dog box, man, I was a kid and I was proud of that thing. I loved hauling that dog around in it.
Did you ever put the dog box in the truck that you won?
I have, yes, I have. But at that point, the dog box was about wore out, but I still used it.
Well, walk us through that, man. You went down there to the truck hunt, and I'll be darned if you didn't win that thing with her too. And I vividly remember that picture on ProHound of you and her on the front cover, right there in the driver's seat. You and old Emmy.
Yeah, man, I tell you, it gives me goosebumps right now thinking of that. Because that was the deal. Go back to like Basham and I were talking just a second ago. That was a hunt that I 100% was meant to win. That hunt was decided, I feel like, before I even turned my dog loose. And I'm not saying that to sound cocky or nothing like that, but so we didn't even get a truck ticket that year. We ran in 2 months. We ran in the month of May, and then we run for one in the month of September. Both months we missed a truck ticket. The at-larges come around. We don't get an at-large bid. And I'm thinking, man, maybe we'll be an alternate, And so anyways, goes on there, rocks on there. We're not an alternate. Nobody calls us. Literally like 3 days before the truck hunt, I'm working at work. I worked for my brother back then too. I was rebuilding the motor, and I sat in the shop floor, and my phone rings, and it was an 812 number. And I'm thinking, I don't know who that is, And I just had a feeling. I'm like, man, you better answer that. Well, I don't answer it. And we go on lunch break. I'm like, I'm going to call this, whoever it is, back, call him back. And it's Jerry Mole. And he worked for PKC at the time. And he said, hey, he's like, Brennan Carlson's female coming to heat. And he just called us, said he's not going to make it. Do you want to come hunt for a new truck? And I said, absolutely, I do. And so like 3 days before the truck hunt, my dog, I'll be 100% honest with you guys, man. I hadn't been hunting her hard. It wasn't like I had her ready, because I just lost hope. I'm like, man, I'm not going to get to go hunt the truck hunt. And it's I think it was kind of a bad winter that year here, if I remember right. So I'm like, it is what it is. We'll try again next year. And so anyways, I get off the phone. And I go in the office and I ask my brother, I'm like, hey, can I take off of work Friday? And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, I told him. And he said, yeah, man, no problem. He said, go win you a new truck. And I told myself, I'm like, man, I had a feeling like when I got there, I'm like, man, this is just too much is lined up for me to have to come and hunt for this truck. Like, I feel like this is a blessing sent from God himself. And I'm like, if I can get lucky and win my early round, like I feel like I can win this truck. And go early round, man. We had a horrible hunt. A den tree is winning our cast. Emmy's blowed out of the country, and it's real hilly where we're hunting at, surprisingly. And Doug Compton's my judge, and it's winding down there toward the end of the cast. Of course, my dog showing her treat on the Garmin, and I've got to get to where I can hear her, man. I'm just sick, and it works out to where all these dogs are on the dog lead because I was struck in. And so the 6 is working, and I'm like, hey, we need to walk to the top of this hill right here. So we take off, and we're huffing and puffing. And Doug Compton stayed with me the whole way, and we get up to the top of this hill, and you can hear a treat in there, man. And so, anyways, Doug hears them. They get cut back loose before I get treed in. I was just shocked at the time, I could even hear. And I get her treed in, and anyways. We go into her, the hunt runs out as we're getting to her, and she's got a coon to advance to the next round. And that right there, I caught some breaks like that to win the Youth World Hunt, just did kind of a different scenario. So I'm like, man, maybe this is meant to be. And late round, we had a shootout. I ended up winning the cast. I think she treed 3 coons, and I think we treed like 7 total. I treed 3, another dog treed 3, and then another dog treed 1. And then we was in the final 4, you know, and that was just cool in itself, you know, to be in the final cast of a truck hunt. You know, I think I was just barely old enough to get into the casino. I think I just turned 18, and but I was in it. Cheyenne Cummins was in the final cast with us, and he's a local guy here too, you know. And me and
was
Cheyenne,
he hunting Shaq?
Yep, he was hunting Shaq. You know, so he kind of calmed my nerves a little bit. Cheyenne, for those that don't know Cheyenne, he's a joker, man. He loves cracking up, and joking, and
Nice.
I remember I was on the phone with Amy Thomas, and she was doing my interview, and he walks by me and he says, "Hey, Lane, go ahead and tell her that second place ain't too bad for a kid." And we just started laughing, you know, and he was just giving me a hard time. But anyways, man, just got lucky and won the final cast of that thing and won a new truck. It was unbelievable, man. It was an experience that I didn't think I was ever going to get to achieve again. But you know, God works in amazing ways, and you know, he's blessed us ultimately again, you know, this last winter. But it was awesome. It really was.
Yeah. So you go out there, you win the truck. How old is she when you won the truck?
So it'd been 2018. So she was a 6-year-old.
So she's a seasoned dog at this point. You know, I really think she's in her prime at that time.
Absolutely. You know, she as a 1-year-old, she was deadly. She was a very nice dog, and she got into heat, went through a rough stage, and kind of never found herself again until she was about 4.5. And then when she was 4.5, 5, she settled down, and man, she was absolutely, she was the right kind. I mean, she was everything that anybody would have loved to have on the end of their lead. She was one that couldn't ever count out. I don't care if there was 5 minutes in a cast and she was off the dog lead, you couldn't count her out as long as she was within striking distance, you know.
What made you keep a hold of her and hunt her through that rough period from 1 to 4.5? I mean, that's a long time where she didn't really ever find herself again. What made you just hold on to her and not, you know, if you had guys wanting to buy her, why didn't you just send her down the road and make a little cash?
Man, you know, I tell you, it's just one of them deals. I mean, I'm a person that kind of gets feelings about things, and I look for, even in the bad, I look for something good. You know, me, I've grown up as a kid. I played sports. I wasn't ever the fastest or the strongest, but I had the work ethic. And, you know, and I saw that in her. It's crazy, kind of corny to say that, I guess, but I saw her work ethic. I saw the heart she had. And I knew if she would just stick it out with me, that, you know, I could make her, not really make her, but I feel like that she was going to be that type of dog that was going to grow into herself again. I was just going to be patient with her. And ultimately, man, it just worked out, you know. You know, she was all I had really at the time, and I liked her. I liked even when she looked bad, I liked what she done, if that makes sense. She had all the tools that I liked in one. I mean, and what her bad thing was is she was just inconsistent. I mean, she would have nights where she looked pretty good, you know, but just inconsistent. She might make, you know, 2 or 3 extra trees that she don't need to make. You know, but when she was, like I said, when she was that, you know, had a little age on her, she settled down and she became more consistent. But I just ultimately, I guess, to answer your question, I just knew, like I knew I seen the good in her, you know, and I was like, man, I can't give up on her yet, you know, and so I didn't. I just stuck it out, and it just worked out.
Yeah.
You taking notes on that patience thing, Bryce, with you and your pup?
But buddy. Woo!
Patience, Bryce. Patience.
I know. So as we're recording this here, it's we're recording this on November 30th, and you know it's going to be well into January before you guys hear this. But it's a good thing I'm getting ready to be gone for a week starting tomorrow, because I think me and her both need a break from each other. Whew. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Tell him again about patience.
Just whenever it gets rough, you just gotta rub your ears and say "woosah, woosah."
I'm going to have to try that because, by golly, last night it was like freaking 12:30 in the morning and I'm tromping through the thickest stuff on the reservoir trying to get to this dog. And she struck this track by the road and, buddy, she drove it. And I'm like, oh, yes, this is going to be a good one. And she let out 3 big old long balls, make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And she rolled it over into a chop. And I freaking busted brush in there to her. Nothing. Just nothing. I mean, I was just so let down. I was so, everything was right. It's like you said, it was meant to be. The stars were aligning. No, it didn't happen.
Look for the good and the bad, Bryce. That's all I can tell you.
The good and the bad was I was able to find a better way out than what I took in because it was rough going in.
There you go.
But no, man, it's good that you stuck it out with her because it kept going. It went up from there with her. 2019, you accomplished something that I've been wanting to accomplish. Basham's been wanting to accomplish. 99% of the guys in the competition coon hunting are wanting to accomplish. You, sir, became the United Kennel Club World Champion. Walk us through it.
Man, it was cool. So that year we had the zones in Miami, Oklahoma, which is about an hour from me, I guess. And that was the first time that I'd ever even got a cast win at an RQE. That was at the time, that was my goal. I'm like, man, I just want to win a cast at an RQE. I just always had a bad luck at RQEs. And anyways, I get her qualified in Girard, Kansas. And I go to the zones there at the house. I get to guide, and I won my cast the first night. And I didn't have a very good score. I cost her. I treated her right up. She was running wide open, treated her out of the truck. You know, me being the great handler that I am, I treated her out of the truck and took a minus. Thank goodness she treated 2 coons and made up for it. But I knew I was going to have to win the next night to advance, and got lucky and treated the only coon we seen the next night. And, we made it to the finals of the world hunt for the first time. Going into it, I had no expectations. I was just pumped to be there. I was just excited. And I thought, man, this is cool. I first time I ever got a dog to an RQE, and I got through the zones, and I was just writing it off to beginner's luck, honestly. I'm like, yeah, we'll probably get beat the first round, but hey, top 100 ain't bad. And, we win our first round. Just another deal, man. She just kind of like the truck hunt, got out of pocket. It was hilly, believe it or not. We was in Iowa, but we went way out in western Iowa, and it was hilly. And she got way out of pocket. These other dogs was making trees. Nothing had treated coon. Finally get to the top of a hill, and in here she's standing in her tree, got her struck and treed in. These other dogs ended up getting treed too, but they couldn't beat me if I had a coon, and I ended up having a coon. Every dog ended up having a coon, but nobody could beat me. And we won early, and I was like, heck yeah, that's cool, And so we go to the next round there, and that was back. You had to hunt by yourself, and the guy that Don, I can't think of his last name, but he was the one that guided the finals of the world hunt that year. And he took me hunting, and she struck an old track and worked it up and got treed and had a coon. And so we got to advance to the next night. And the next night we drew a really good cast. We drew Dalton. I think Dalton was hunting Shack. Dalton Cummings was hunting Shack. Dual Murphy was hunting Piper. And I can't remember who the other dog in that cast was. That's bad of me. I can't remember that. But we had a good hunt. It was kind of a controversial deal. The thermals was just coming out. I had a thermal. I go to my dog handler by herself. She's in one tree in a ditch. There ain't a tree for a quarter of a mile from her. And get to her, of course, in UKC back then you couldn't use a thermal. Get to her, I handle her. It's like the first 20 minutes of the hunt. I don't shack a tree to circle tree. I know because that was before I left the tree. They go score the other. Oh, I know. It was Bear Creek Maggie was the other dog. Maggie and Piper and Shack, all the 3 got treated together. So they lead to me. I've got a coon. Piper had treated coon in the meantime, and I was getting beat. And anyways, one of them was like, "Do you have a thermal on you?" And I'm like, Yeah, well, the judge is like, hey, what do you got in your pouches? And I pull out a spotlight, and I'm like, a spotlight. And he's like, what's in that other one? I was like, a thermal. And he's like, and anyways, long story short, I hate to even sound dramatic or whatever, but they tried to scratch me for having a thermal on me. So we had to call timeout. We had to go he's like an hour from the club. We had to go all the way back to the clubhouse. It was a big drawed out deal. And they didn't scratch me because I didn't use it. And they're like, well, you can't scratch him for having it on him. And so anyways, we go turn loose again, and I'm getting beat. Piper trees another coon. Emmy trees another coon. I'm getting beat on actually, we're tied. It comes down to the very end of the cast. Me and Duel are tied. But Duel has a circle tree, and I don't. We don't have no minus. It got down to basically the circle tree was going to win it for Duel. Mine gets treed again with about 3 minutes left in the cast, and she just kind of trailed one up, and she just got treed. And I knew a circle tree could win it for me because I had more circle points on this deal than Duel did. And so I get her treated, and I just want to get her handled. I'm like, hey, we get her handled. This is a done deal, We'll have to worry about the next round and get her. And I didn't think she'd have a coon, to be honest with you, but she had a coon treed. I think that gave me like 575, I think. And back then, they had to do a deal where there was 5 casts, so the top 3, or there were 6 casts, I guess, or something. I can't remember. Well, anyways, the top 3 scores would be in the finals, and then there would have to be one late round that night to make up for the 4th dog in the finals. And luckily, we was one of the top 3 scores, so we automatically advanced to the finals. And which was a big important deal to me because at this point, she was 7, 7 coming 8. And she had been hauled all over the country since she was 2 years old. And, anytime you can get lucky and get a bye, so to speak, with an old dog, you gotta take advantage of that. So we made the final cast, and it was a nail biter, man. It was a good cast, and we treed several coons on that cast. Emmy treed 2. No, she treed 3, but had the bigger part on 2 of them. The ace dog treed 3 as well, but he ended up taking some tree minus. So we won the cast, and man, walking out of that field, I tell you, it was one of them deals you won the cast, but you was like counting scores again. You're like, man, are you sure that I won this cast? And it was just cool. It was an experience and a feeling that it was the same type of feeling when I won the truck that I feel like I would never ever got again. It was cool, man. It was a dream come true. I'll be honest with you. I knew winning the UKC Rural Hunt was a big deal, but I didn't know it was that big of a deal. Man, I had people want to be my friend from literally all over the world on Facebook that coon hunt, and that squirrel hunt and run beagles and run coyote dogs. They all saw it, man. And it was I was like, man, that's a little bit bigger of a deal than what I really thought. It was cool. It was a huge blessing.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely awesome. So you mentioned she was 7 at that time. Did she ever have a litter of puppies before that? When did you breed her and know that you had something that you wanted to get some pups off of her and get them onto the ground?
Yeah, so she won the UKC World Hunt in 2019, and so in 2018, be a year exactly before that, we bred her to Big Money, and that's when we got Shot's litter. And that was a litter that, man, so Shot was Kevin Cable's pick of the litter, and I kept the millionaire dog that we'll talk about in a little bit, and I kept a female that was called Fit. I called her Counterfeit, and I kept them too. But yeah, man, that litter, them 2 puppies that I started, I was like, man, these puppies act so good. But back up a little bit, we actually bred her as a 2-year-old. We bred her to Mafia, Cheyenne's dog. And anyways, it was I don't know. Somehow something else got to her. I don't know if it happened at my house or what. Probably did. I don't know. But she had a litter of crossbred puppies, and they were black and tans. But but these puppies,
the black and tan came back that you traded for.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what it is. Truth be known, that would be something. But my dad sent me a video of these pups when they were like 9 weeks old, treeing on a coontail, and I'm thinking that's kind of odd, And so I kept a male pup out of that cross, and that pup started treeing coons at like 10 months old. He wasn't nothing special. Boy had a big mouth. He treed coons. That was it. And but I knew, I'm like, well, that's kind of weird, I'm like, maybe she will reproduce pretty good. And then when them puppies off of Big Money started early, I'm thinking, maybe she'll reproduce pretty good, And it's not. I mean, obviously, it's some of the male dog, but I'm a female guy. Like honestly, like I believe without a doubt, I feel like that 60% of it's a good female. I feel like if you have a good female that's bred right and that can reproduce, you could breed her to a cur dog and they'll be coon dogs,
It's interesting how people think about that. Some guys are like, oh no, it's 100% the stud dog. And then you don't have a lot of guys that say it's 100% the female, but then you'll have a lot of guys who are like, I don't know. Like kind of like you are, like, I'm going to say more 50-60%. The female, she carries a big end of that load. And
yeah, she does. I mean, she does. And but I mean, look at Willie and Big Money and dogs like that. Like they could breed. Of course, they have a lot of puppies on the ground, but they are good reproducers. I mean, I'm not saying it's all the female by any means, but I feel like that's where you get those special litters,
Right.
Say if you might get one or two good ones out of a litter, out of just a mediocre female or whatever. But I feel like, man, if there's a female that's bred good, that's a good dog, and she's a good reproducer, out of 8 puppies, 6 or 7 of them's going to treat coons, and 3 or 4 of them's going to be something special or has a chance to be. I feel like that's. But I'm not saying it's all the female by any means. I mean, it has a lot to do with the male dog. But myself personally, I feel like it's 60% the female.
Right. So
I'd be one of the ones that agree with you. I'm a female guy myself. So
yeah.
So what made you, and we're going to roll through this with who all you've bred her to, because she's been bred to 3 different stud dogs. You got a lot of pups on the ground. I think she's got 21 pups on the ground now?
Yep, she's got 21 puppies.
So you bred her to Big Money. You've bred her to Rodeo. And you've also, who's the third one you bred her to?
Willie.
Willie, that's it. That's right, Willie. That's right here in front of me. Big Money, Willie, and Rodeo. What made you go to Big Money first?
So it wasn't long after we won the truck. And I'll be honest with you, I was like, man, that'd be cool, breed 2 truck winners together. And so that's what I did. We bred her, took her to Big Money. And, I thought, man, that would just be something cool. And thankfully it just worked out. It was just a luck deal. I think, it was a cross that was, at the time, it was unique. You really didn't hear much of 2 truck winners being bred together. And then of course, when we won the UKC World Hunt, that world champion cross hadn't been made since Insane Jane X Jr. to my knowledge. Maybe it had been, but at the time,
was a big cross right there.
Yeah, man. And I was like, man, that would be so cool to breed 2 world champions together. And, of course, J.R. Gray, he's a great guy. And Willie was starting to reproduce some really good dogs. So, but yeah, I mean, that was on the Big Money thing. I feel like it was just me, doing something that was different, because it's something that at the time you didn't see a lot of, but
and then you turn around and followed it up with another world champion with Rodeo.
Yeah. So then we bred her to Rodeo, and Rodeo actually, the guy that raised Rodeo, they called him Joker as a pup, but I got to hunt with Joker, Rodeo, whatever you want to call him. I got to hunt with him a lot when he was 11, 12 months old. The guy over here in Northwest Arkansas had him, and man, he was something special. He was a barker, but he was a coon treer even as a pup. And and of course, when he won the world hunt with him, I thought, man, it would be cool to make that cross again. At the time, we really didn't know what Rodeo was going to reproduce like, but man, he's starting to throw some good puppies.
They're starting to come around.
They are, So it's just worked out. Luckily, I mean, all 3 that we have got puppies out of worked out for her. We bred her a couple times to some different semen she had one dead puppy apiece, and I was kind of bummed about one of them. One of them we bought some Z3 semen from Ryan Croce and stuck in her. And she had one dead puppy, man, and it was sickening. I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. You know, I'm so excited. Like, that was one thing that I always wanted to breed her to was Z3 semen. Yep. And when we got that deal done with Ryan and we drove her to Tennessee, and I literally left her there for like a week and a half. They progesterone tested her, done everything right, surgically AI'd her, brought her back home. Anyways, long story short, she ended up having one dead puppy, and it was a bad deal. And then we bred her to Goose Seaman right after he won the PKC World Hunt. And they AI'd her. Joe was awesome with the deal. He took her and kept her for like 2.5 weeks at his house, and they AI'd her. And just another bad luck deal. She had one dead puppy. I mean, it was just both times we bred her to semen. We just had bad luck. I think it was just a bad luck deal. You know, it just didn't work out like it's supposed to.
You don't get a better man than Mr. Joe Manning.
No, man, he's good. When I called him and told him what I wanted to breed her to, I think he was more excited about it than I was.
Yeah.
We went down to the Lone Star, and he's like, I said, you know, she's due to come in heat in like a week. You know, I can drive her down to you when she comes in heat. And he said, absolutely not. He said, bring her with you. He's like, we'll take care of her. And he's like, I know what she means to you. And man, like, every day he would send me a picture of her on his couch. Like he literally took care of her better than I did. You know, he was absolutely hands down great with it. And all the guys that I ever bred her to was great, you know, with it and about it. I mean, but yeah, Joe was awesome about it.
Well, let's talk about some of the pups that came out of these different litters. Let's start off with your first cross that you made, which was Big Money. How many pups she had? She had 5?
No, Big Money, she had 8.
8, my bad. Yep, I was looking at the wrong litter.
Yeah, she had 8 out of Big Money. You got so like I kind of touched on earlier, I had my pick of the litter was a dog that I called Millionaire. And then I kept a female called Fit, and then Kevin got shot. There was another male dog that I sold a buddy of mine, Gerald Keener, south of here in Tahlequah, and he started him, and he sold him to Josh Woolman, and I've lost track of the dog. I don't know where he's at. I called UKC and got the records to see what dogs have won what, and he ain't a night champion, you know, so I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know nothing about him. And then I think there was one pup that didn't make it out of that litter that was dead. And then you got there was another one in Arkansas that the guy hunted her and messed with her, and she didn't make it. You know, she never. I think she trees a few coons, but I just don't think she's nothing great. You know, but that litter was a good litter. You know, it turned out to be a good litter. And then he got shot in that litter too. And I bought shot. So Millionaire, the Colton Atwell owns him now. He called me when Millionaire was about 5 months old. He would go hunting. Millionaire would. He hadn't treed yet. He would tree. You could make a drag 100 yards, and he would strike it, run and tree it. Had a big mouth, pretty dog. I mean, big old pretty puppy. And he called me wanting to buy him, and I'm like, man, I would rather the female would go hunting, and she had treed a couple times with dogs, and I'm like, this might be dumb for me to say. I'm like, but I would rather you buy this female. I'm like, I like the male dog better. He was my pick. You know, he's just pretty. He looked a lot like Emmy. And he's like, no, we want a male dog. We want a male dog. So they kept on me, and I priced him finally, and they bought him. But as a 1-year-old, he got in the top 6 of Super Stakes. He's been in the semifinals of the Missouri Pro Hunt. I think he's got 3 or 4 wins in UKC. Them boys don't hunt him in a bunch of hunts. Yeah. Honestly, they're just pleasure hunters, and they like coon hunting. But that's a good dog. That is a very good dog. I really, really wish that I had him. Honestly, I mean he's everything you want in one. I'm like, yeah, he's a coon treer, but he's also a barker. You know, but he barks about once every 100 yards. Got a big mouth. He's one of my favorite dogs out of that litter, to be completely honest with you. So, anyways, they got him, and then Fit. I sold Fit to a boy over here, lives close to me. His name's Hunter Chancellor, a good buddy of mine. And she's close to a PKC champion. If she isn't, I know she's right around there. But again, he never put her in a bunch of hunts. He's got like 3 or 4 wins in UKC with her. And then, I think she won a couple casts at Super Stakes too. So I think she is a PKC champion. And then, and then there's Shot. I ended up buying Shot back. So Shot got Kevin. Long story short, Kevin traded Shot to Bradley Kelly for Money in the Bank. And I think he gave him money too. I'm not sure how that worked. But anyways, I ended up buying him back from Bradley Kelly, as I think he was 10 months old when I bought him back. I think he'd treat a coon or two for Bradley. When I got him, I hunted him for probably 2 weeks before he ever treated a coon for me. But it was one of them deals. I mean, he was. I got lucky when I found him. Bradley posted him, and I called Bradley about him, and I just bought him.
Here in those 2 weeks, you weren't thinking you were lucky though.
No, he was. I think he treated a lot of squirrels when he was young, and I think that he would make trees, but he was treating a lot of squirrels.
Hey, I'm gonna jump in here though and say one thing. Is that we need to make it a point, Basham, to get Bradley Kelly on this podcast, because that joker is a good as a pup man as anybody else that I know. He's had a lot of good ones come through his house. And you said, you had world champion Money in the Bank. He called him Duke. I hunted with him whenever he called him Duke. You got Shot. There's the Indiana Hannah dog. There's just a lot of good dogs that have come out of Bradley Kelly's house, and he's just a quiet guy. He don't take the mic, but I think that'd be a good one. So let's put that under our hat for a future podcast.
Definitely.
But yeah, I got Shot when he's 10 months old, and he was just like his mama. He was aggravating, man. He was an aggravating dog, but it just worked out. He's been good to me and my family. So. But yeah, that litter was a great litter. I mean, that litter turned out great, I think. I mean, the ones that have been put in the hunts have won. Like I said, it's just kind of a deal where most of the guys just haven't pushed them like I did Shot. The Millionaire dog, I feel like without a doubt he's got the tools that it takes to win just as much as my dog has. But them guys just coon hunt. I think he took him to his 2-year-old Super Stakes too. He won a couple early rounds. He didn't win late, but then he didn't take him as a 3-year-old. But Fit, same way. Fit was a nice female. She had her quirks like all of them did, in that litter, but she was a good one. Speaking
of Shot, and he won a truck too. You got them parked side by side outside?
No, I actually don't. So the one I won with Emmy, I give it to my dad. My dad drove it for a while. I was lucky, blessed. I had a good truck at the time, and my dad, his vehicle was giving him problems, and I told him, I'm like, just take this truck and drive it. I'm like, you can have it. I'm like, do what you want to do with it. And he didn't want to take it. You know how that deal goes. But ultimately, man, he drove it for a while, and he got to where he bought him a nice vehicle too, and he come back to me and he's like, hey, what are you going to do with this truck? And I'm like, if you don't want to use it no more, I'm like, we sell it and we can do whatever you want. So anyways, he sold it and he put the money in my account, but it's funny. My mom and dad, they're not together. But my dad, he knows my mom's husband and works with him at the same dog food plant. They get along and everything. But he's the one who bought the truck, was my mom's husband. So the truck has kind of stayed in the family. So it's cool to see, but I'm keeping the one that I won with Shot. But it's cool. It's a cool thing, man. I never in a million years would have imagined that would have ever happen. I knew that Shot was just like Emmy, the good and the bad. I seen both in him. And I'm not saying that I didn't feel like he was going to win nothing big, but I just, at the time, I'm like, it's just crazy, man. There ain't no way that I'm going to win 2 trucks. But this sport has been a blessing to me, man. I'm telling you, God has blessed me beyond measure. I can't express just how thankful and blessed I am because of these dogs, man. It's crazy. As a kid, when I got into this sport, if you'd have told me that it would have made me what I am today and blessed me like it has, I'd have been like, there's no way. But it's just amazing, man. I'm very, very, very humble and very blessed for it because at the end of the day, man, there's a million people that would love to be in my shoes, and I just can't thank God enough for allowing me to just to be blessed like I've been. It's unreal good. I mean, it's cool. It really is.
Definitely well said. Well said. So we move on from the money litter and we go into, it looks like probably your most productive litter, and that is the litter when you bred her to Willie. Let's talk about those pups.
We all know that canines can take us to some wild places, and some of those are only accessible by an off-road vehicle. No matter how hard you try to maintain your ride, something is bound to break on one of your adventures. When you find yourself looking for replacement parts, or maybe even a few upgraded parts to further try and prevent a breakdown, look no further than Never Satisfied Off-Road. Joey Goforth is the proud new owner of Never Satisfied Off-Road and is ready to serve you. Performance accessories such as lift kits, portals, tires, and more can all be found at Never Satisfied Off-Road. Located in Covington, Tennessee, the team at Never Satisfied Off-Road is ready to ship parts and accessories for your ride anywhere in the country. As their new website is currently being built, be sure to follow them on Facebook at Never Satisfied Off-Road 23 to keep up to date on the hottest items and sales. Give them a call at 731-693-9921 to place your order and get your ride ready to follow your canine wherever they may take you. Are you ready for the best part though? Mention that you heard this ad on the Semper Doggin podcast and you will receive a Semper Doggin approved listener discount.
Yeah, man. So, that litter, a lot of people ask me like, hey, what litter is the best? I'm like, man, I honestly couldn't tell you. But that litter there, I feel like on paper is probably the best litter, but as a litter as a whole,
there's a lot of eye popping stats as far as that litter goes, as far as on paper.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down. I mean, Terry Bennett and David Griner, I think they ended up with like 3 or 4 of them. So the one that I kept, I started her. I'll be honest with you, I absolutely hated her. I hated her, and that might be bad of me to say, but she was my pick of the litter, and I hated her.
Where was your patience?
Yep, my patience was not there with that one. I just did not like her. But so Terry, I called Terry and I'm like, hey, do you want this female? I'm like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think she's gonna make a dog, Terry. And I'm like, but she's bred good and you could breed her to something, get pups out of her. I'm like, but I don't believe in that. I'm like, if they ain't gonna suit me, I'm not gonna breed them to nothing. And so anyways, Terry bought her back. But yeah, that litter's awesome, man. You got 4X Floyd. Terry Bennett owns him, and he's a gold champion in PKC and been in the top 16 of the Pro Sport Truck Hunt twice. Of course, he's a Grand Night champion. He's been in the top 100 of the UKC World a couple times. Then you got the 4X Willie dog that David Saunders owns, and that dog's a night champion at least. And I think his boy won the state youth hunt with him, and that's a good dog too. Then you got Scar, JR, and Ellis's female, and man, them guys have done really good with her. They've pushed her, and she's a very nice female. Probably one of the best ones that you can ask to draw, when she's on. But it sounds to me like she's a lot like her mama. I don't hunt with her every night, but JR's kind of told me her flaws, and sounds to me a lot like Emmy when she was 2 or 3 year old. But heck, they won Walker Days with her, and got her in the finals of Autumn Oaks and almost won the Triple Crown with her. I mean, so
got beat out by their own dog.
Yeah, by their own dog. Them lucky guys, I tell you, that's crazy. Them guys there. But yeah, no, that litter was awesome. I don't know. I'm probably forgetting, a puppy or two out of that cross that made good dogs.
You got Game Changer in there too.
Game Changer, yeah. So Game Changer, I think that dog's got about every title you can have in UKC. Them boys, they water race him and they hunt him, and I actually hunted him for Johnny at Autumn Oaks last year and won my cast in the championship deal and the night hunt, and then he didn't do no good on the bench. So, but he won his cast there, and
we know that lane because the
yeah,
high dollar whiskey.
Yeah, I know. Old Basham, old hired show hand right there. But yeah, that dog's a good dog too. The freaky female that they call Freaky now, I called her Freckles. That was the one I kept that I didn't like. They had patience that I didn't have, and when she was about 15 months old, she turned the light switch on and went to treeing coons, and they've made her a night champion by now, and I think she might even be a grand night champion. But so she's a nice female too. I've heard from several people that she's turned out to be a good female. But yeah, that cross there, man, it's awesome.
It blew up.
Them guys done great with that cross. That cross alone, is Emmy. She's on the current female reproducers list in UKC, and I mean, got to tip my hat off to them guys, because that without that cross and without them guys pushing that cross like they have, she wouldn't be on there. But yeah, them guys have done great with that litter. Every one of them, it would just worked out. The ones that made it have had a chance to be putting some cash, So that was an awesome deal.
Definitely, and that moves us right along to the very last one, and probably the one that's not been pushed as much as the other ones, and that's the rodeo litter.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, man. One thing describes that litter, and that's bad luck. That litter there. So the rodeo bulldog of Alan Pinkston's, he lives in north central Arkansas, and that dog's won. He's been in the quarterfinals of the UKC World Hunt. I don't think he makes the top 100, but he's a night champion. He's got his money won for the Super Stakes and all that. But that's a good dog. Scott Ingles' pick. I've actually got Scott Ingles' dog at my house right now. They call him Time. And with a little bit of time, I mean, no pun intended, that dog, but Scott will do some damage with him. And then the one that I kept, hands down, I'm not just saying this because she was mine, but she was the best 1-year-old I've ever had at my house. I had won her money for Super Stakes. She was about 13, 14 months old. She was bad about climbing trees. She fell out of a tree. Took her to my vet. She didn't make it. She passed away, and I'm telling you, man, that one hurt, because she was absolutely the best 1-year-old I've ever had, ever, hands down. Done everything, everything you can ask. Moved around good, dead loner, had coons when she treed, all natural ability, just like her mama was. And I was pumped up about that deal, and that took the wind out of me when we lost her. But she was a good one. I mean, and then I've got a male dog too that me and James Perryman's partners on. He's at James's house. He trees coons. He's never been in a cast. She only had 5 in that litter, and just bad luck has been with that litter. But I think the ones that are live, I feel like you'll start hearing about them. I know the one that Scott's got here at the house. I've been hunting him and a little bit for him. He was kind of blown up when I got him, and I'll be honest with you, I laid him up for a little while and just started hunting him and letting him be a dog again. And he's starting to tree coons, and he's got some good tools too. So that's a good litter too. Just kind of a bad luck deal with it.
Man, you said you said something there that I told you in the beginning of this podcast I wanted to go back and cover. You said when you got him, he was kind of blown up, and you've just put him up, you've let him be a coon dog, and you're doing your thing. And you did that with Shot. So go back for me, just back step a little bit here, and tell us what happened. Because there for a while, you were winning everything that you put Shot in. I mean, he's got over $80-something thousand won in PKC. He's won a truck. You've done some damage with that dog. But there for a while, then it seemed like he did. It seemed like he kind of blew up, and you guys were just catching a bad break or bad luck and couldn't win a cast. And I remember last winter you said you just went back to the basics. You just started coon hunting him and letting him be a dog again. Just walk me through that, because that's something that I personally need to learn how to do, is learn when to take your foot off the gas and just coast.
Yeah. So, man, we're all guilty of it, man. We're all competitive. We all want to win bad, and I feel like a lot of times, of course, every dog's different. Some dogs can handle it, some dogs can't, but I feel like we put too much pressure on these dogs sometimes. So, so I guess back up the summer before last winter, we run the PKC state race with him. We was actually like second in the national male race for a long time. Ike Rainey was running it too. I learned right then and there, one man cannot run the national race. You can't do it. You'll wear yourself and your dog plumb into the dirt. And ultimately, that's what happened, man. It was I put the dog in too many casts trying to win a national male race with him, and by the end of the year, he was what I like to call cast stale. I mean, that dog knew when he was in a cast. You could pleasure hunt that dog after a cast, and he would perform just great, hands down. But you line him up against three other dogs, and cut him loose in a cast, he would still treat coons for you. But he spent 45 minutes. If it was an hour a cast, he spent 45 minutes of the hour trying to get away from dogs. So he was burnt out. Like I hauled him too much and put too much pressure on him. I wasn't pleasure hunting him like I needed to be. So I told myself, my father-in-law, they live in north central Kansas, and they got some awesome coon hunting, and he's good with dogs. And we would go up there once or twice a month. And I told myself, I'm like, after October, I'm not putting my dog in any cast. I'm just going to pleasure hunt him. And we went up there, man. And like I said, we go up there twice a month. Of course, I hunt him around here too, but up there, we got him in scenarios to where we couldn't get him down here because the coon population is way better up there. But long story short, we let him just be a dog all winter. I literally just turned that dog loose, just shot coons to him and just let him be a dog. And he went through a spell there. The biggest flaw in the dog what he was doing in the summertime was, if dogs covered him, he would just pack up and leave. They didn't have to get rough with him. They didn't have to make an off bark. He just didn't want to be around another dog. And so, man, I took him up there, and we would literally, it just worked out a couple times. My father-in-law was hunting a young dog that would cover a little bit, and finally one night I got in there to him when the dog covered him, shot the coon out to him. That's something I never do. I mean, that's something I'll never, ever do hardly is kill it. Now when the dog's 6 years old or whatever, you ain't going to do nothing different. But I don't believe in killing coons and dogs when they're treated together. And I killed a couple coons to him when a dog would cover him, but got him over that, and I just pleasure hunting. Killed. If he treed 40 coons in a month, he'd get 40 of them. I mean, that's something that I never really have been big about. But that opened my eyes. I feel like that's the best way to hit the reset button on a dog, so to speak, is just turn them loose, let them be a dog, and kill them coons to them. And that's what I did, and thankfully he mentally, he matured mentally. And I always said if the dog would ever mature mentally, he was always a good dog. He always had the coon treeing ability, the ability to move around good. He was a dead loner. I mean, he had all the tools of what I looked for one in one, but he just mentally, you could tell he wasn't mentally mature. Some nights he was there and some nights he wasn't, just kind of like a little kid, in school, I guess. But, and mentally that winter he mentally matured, and we just got back to the basics with him. And I literally just coon hunted him all winter and just let him be a dog. But, I think that pro sport truck hunt that was about an hour from my house that February, I think it was the first hunt we put him in after just hunting him all winter. And man, the dog was he was doing things that he never done. When he was a young dog before this, he treated a lot of coons. But like I said, he spent a lot of time trying to get as far away from dogs as he could. Now he's not going to cover dogs. He ain't going to do none of that. But that winter, man, he picked up a tool that I've never had in a dog, even in Emmy. he might be a half a mile off the first tree of the night, but if he was in a patch of woods or there was 3 coons right there by him, he would tree all 3 of them off the recut. I mean, just bang, bang, bang. And, I think that ultimately, I think that was just part of that maturing mentally. But, I think that all of that has to account to that. I feel like we sometimes, man, we get caught up in hunting them in the hunts and winning and beating on them and whooping on them and, shocking on them. And I mean, instead of just letting them be a dog sometimes, letting them enjoy it. I mean, I think that's an important deal. A lot of people, as myself, I still to this day, I get caught up in trying to make one a winner, trying to hunt hard and do this and do that. And ultimately, especially when they're young, and some dogs can take it. Look at Meltdown. Meltdown, man, you could shock him and beat him and do whatever you want to do to that dog. And when you cut him loose, it didn't matter what you was doing. You could run enough electricity through that dog, Dustin did, to probably light up the town of Dallas. But that dog, man, he could take it, and some of them can, but very few of them can.
Man, that's something that I did literally last night. I was telling you about that story earlier. Is me and my little pup now. She's 17 months old now, maybe. Don't hold me at the stake on that one. But it's taken her longer to mentally mature than I would expect for one to. She's coming along and she's treeing coons, but the last few nights we just haven't been clicking together. We've been butting heads. And I went out last night knowing good and well that I'm getting ready to be gone for a week. And I put the T5 on her. That way there was no way I could do, when I get in them moods and I'm frustrated, I can't hit the button. Put a T5 on them, let them be a dog, That's just something that I had to do.
Yeah, best thing to do sometimes, turn them loose, get back in the truck. I mean, because if I've done it several nights, especially on young dogs, man, just been so mad, and I knew, man, I'm just gonna whoop them. When I get to that tree, they're gonna take it, and man, just calm down and just let them be a dog. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes there was something that somebody told me one time in college. I was on the livestock judging team as our coach. He said, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do.
Yep.
Hey, what I tell you, Bryce. I mean, look out for old Spot. Me and Bryce went out and had a good weekend a couple weekends ago, and I told him kind of the same thing. I haven't hit a competition hunt in 2.5 months now, and it's just me and one dog. And anybody that knows me knows usually whenever I roll up, I got a dog box trailer and I'll have 6 or 7. And it's just me and one dog. And not just for him. Sometimes as handlers, we need a reset button because we get so running up and down the road and you get so focused on a goal on winning. And when it all comes crumbling down, you need a reset button. You need to go back to your roots and figure out, why do I even coon hunt? Why do I even do this? And sometimes I feel like that not only the dog needs it, but the handler needs that reset button too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of different, than most guys. They could take away all the competition hunts tomorrow, and I would still coon hunt. Now, would I hunt a different type of dog? Absolutely. I don't think I would have a big, wild, dead, lonely type of dog. No. Because I don't, I would just want something that would go tree coons, but I'm just a coon hunter. I ultimately got into this sport because, man, I love dogs. I love the competition side of it, but there's several guys that I know, man, they'll be honest with you. They'll be like, the only reason why I do this is the competition hunt. And ultimately, I feel like that, a lot of times, if that's the only reason why you're in it, man, it's you're going to want to get burnt out on it because you're going to go through slumps. Your dog's going to look bad. You as a handler, you're not going to be able to get on the same page as the dog. And I've been there, I've done it all. And I know, it's sometimes you just got to take a step back and say, man, I'm just going to go coon hunt tonight. I'm just going to load my dog up, literally not even look at my Garmin. I'm just going to sit on my tailgate and listen to my dog tree. And that's what got me into it, was the sound of the dog. I mean, so, it was, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I mean, we as handlers and houndsmen, we have to have a reset button too, just like athletes do,
And that's why we wanted to bring you on here. And that's kind of what it embodies Semper Dogging, always dogging. And it's not just about one training style doesn't fit every single dog. It's about that mutual bond between that houndsman and that dog. It's your feelings going down that leash into that dog, being able to understand the dog and the change of behaviors before it ever happens, into an actual result. And like I said, that's why we wanted to bring you on here, is because it's a passion of not just competing, but having a dog, training a dog, being friends with the dog, being buddies with the dog, and ultimately just living life, chasing dogs and training them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I tell you, I've always said it. I feel like you if you really want to see a dog perform and to look as good as he can look, you won't see that until you respect that dog as much as he respects you. And, I feel like whenever you get a dog to perform for you, not only for his own pleasure, but for your pleasure, that dog, man, he will absolutely perform 100% better. And from my experience,
you'll get more heart out of a dog.
Absolutely. Every dog that I've ever been successful with, Emmy was that way, Shot's that way. This pup out of Shot that I've got high hopes for, he's that way too. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's at the end of the day, we all do this because we love it. We don't do it because we're trying to get rich. We don't do it because, well, you can make $1 million coon hunting. Sure, there's a lot of money to be hunt for today, but at the end of the day, we do this because we really truly enjoy it. Now, there's times where when we're on a losing streak, when we're upset, but I'm telling you right now, if it don't eat you alive when you lose, then go find something else to do.
Because you're not passionate.
Yeah, you're not passionate about it. Absolutely. You've got to have that fire. I mean, sure, I learned a long time ago, you got to be a good winner to be an excellent win, or you got to be a good loser to be an excellent winner. You got to learn how to lose as well as you do win. But at the end of the day, I mean, if anybody tells you, yeah, I enjoy losing, they're lying to you. I mean, because especially if they're competitive, and
I can't say I've always been a good loser, though.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
We let's not talk about that. That's the elephant in the room. Let's not talk about
Yeah. I mean, that's all of us, I had to learn when I was a kid, man. I tell you right now, I was a handful. But
I'm not a kid, Lane.
I've learned though, I mean, it is what it is. It's at the end of the day, you got to enjoy it. I mean, but it's crazy, like I said, it's this sport, there's so much opportunities for it. But you have to be passionate about it, just like an athlete is about his sport he plays. I feel like, because when times get tough, and there's it's especially in coon hunting, because when you're out there hunting 6-7 nights a week, there ain't a fan base watching you do that. There's not somebody saying, yeah, you're doing good, keep it up. It's just you and nature out there, there's, you've got to really enjoy what you do, especially in this sport, or it's going to get tough and you'll want to quit, but.
Yeah, for sure. Well, buddy, we went through here and talked a little bit about Emmy and how you raised her, trained her, went all the way to the top with her. Then you've got a pup out of her that you took to the top again on many, many levels. And now you're working on a third generation pup. Is that pup what's next for you? Is that what's going on? You've got Emmy, I'm assuming retired now at 11 years old.
Yeah. She right now as we speak, she stays at my dad's house. She's probably sleeping on my dad's couch right now. So she's definitely retired. My dad, he coon hunts. Like I said, when he was a kid, he coon hunted. He don't hunt. He works too much now, but during the winter he'll hunt a little bit, and he'll want to go, and he'll just take him and hunt her. But I tell you, man, I've been so blessed. It's crazy to think how blessed I have been. Especially to think that I've been doing it since I was 12. I've had Emmy since she was a year old, so since 2013, and now I'm hopefully I'll have the third generation, coming up with this pup off Shot. But man, I really like him. He's got some tools, and if he'll hang in there with me, I know he's a baby. But if he'll hang with me, I think that dog, people will be hearing about him, hopefully with a little luck. But it's been a blessing. It's unreal how good God's been to me and how great these dogs have been to my family.
You got any future? I know she's 11 years old, but I know it's in the back of your mind too. Any future plans on one last litter?
Well, not very many people know this, but
Breaking news! Breaking news! Here we go.
But so last year, let me think of what. So the litter before we bred her to rodeo, she had a mass come up on her back. Took her to the vet. They cut it out, said it's not cancerous, sent it off. They're like, you're good to go. I'm like, well, can we breed her? Yeah, breed her. It's fine. Bred her. She had puppies, raised all of them. Been an excellent mama. About, I don't know, 8 months ago probably, same mass come up, took her to the vet. They're like, it's not cancerous, but it has potential to become cancerous. They're like, if you don't have her spayed, it can become cancerous and it's liable to kill her. So, man, the dog did not owe me a freaking thing. She had been excellent to my family, so we made the decision to have her spayed. And so unfortunately, no more puppies will be coming out of her. She's got what she's got. So, it's a sad thing and it sucks, but, I'm just blessed that she's still here, at 11 years old. Definitely. Coming 12, I mean, and like I said, she didn't owe me nothing. If it means I can get 2 more years of just her being around the family, hopefully, my wife and I, hopefully we'll have kids in the near future. And if it means that dog will be around those kids, man, it's sure, have her spayed. I'm fine with that. It does suck because, you always want to try to get one last litter out of them, especially when the puppies has been as good to me as they were. But hopefully kind of Shot can kind of take up the slack for on that end of things. But yeah, so unfortunately, no more puppies out of her.
Yeah. Well, man, she's been, like you said, you've said it a bunch on here. She's been just great to your family, and the good Lord has blessed you in everything that he's given you. And, I think all three of us sitting here on this podcast, we could say the same thing. We've all had some good times in here, and we got to thank the good man above for it. So, you got anything else you want to talk about, man? I hope you can listen to this here years down the road and think about all the good times you had with Emmy and the pups out of her, and we'll let you end her with whatever you got on your mind, buddy.
Yeah, man, I just, I want to thank everybody that, this deal's kind of been all about Emmy. I want to thank everybody that's been there through her career with us, and definitely got to thank Carl Reed. He hauled her and I around when we was a kid, and both of us were just pups, so to speak. And that man right there has been good to me and my family too. He's like a second dad to me, man. And thank everybody. I just want to thank everybody that's kind of supported me over this deal. I mean, still to this day, I got people that call me and text me and hey man, how you doing? And congratulate me when I get lucky and am successful. And it's just been a major blessing, and like you said, man, it all comes from the good Lord. And I'm not a perfect person. I'm just about as bad as the next person, but I'm telling you, man, I count my blessings every single night. And he has blessed me and my family beyond measure. Definitely got to thankful for that. But, yeah, man. And one more thing, my ultimate goal, people are still asking me this, they're like, well, now that you're retired, Emmy, what do you want out of her? And I'm like, she don't owe me nothing, but what would put the cherry on the top of the cake, so to speak, is when she's dead and gone, if she gets inducted into the PKC Hall of Fame. Because, man, I feel like I'm biased and I don't brag on one enough. I don't think sometimes, but I've just always been that way. But, I feel like that dog right there deserves it as much as any dog. I mean, both performance and reproduction. I mean, and if she don't get it, that's fine. But, man, I just feel like just in my opinion, that's the only thing I want left, is somebody to vote her into the Hall of Fame, and that would be awesome to me. But it's been a wonderful ride with her and these Shot and every other dog that I've been able to hunt with out of them. And like I said, I'm just blessed beyond measure. It's unreal how good God has been to me and my family.
Absolutely. Basham, you got anything to wrap us up here, brother, man?
No, I think Man, I think I'm gonna leave it to the professional there and let him in this segment.
Shoot,
He sounded awfully good saying it, so I'm just gonna leave it all at that.
Yeah, Mr. Lane, man, great guest and great to have you on here. Great friend. Love watching you compete on the level that you do. Love seeing everything you got going on. Always in your corner, man. So thanks for joining us, Lane, man. It's been a great time. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Semper Doggin podcast. We hope you'll continue to stay on this journey with us. We've got a lot in the works. We've got a lot coming down the pipeline. Basham and I, we're dreamers, man. We've got big visions for this thing.
Big dreams.
And like, go ahead, Lane.
I want to thank you guys too for having me on this deal. You know, I always enjoy doing podcasts just because I like talking to people, and I consider you two my friends. You know, so it's just like I'm sitting down here talking to my buddies, and you guys do awesome with this, and I hope and pray for you guys, man. It just takes off because both y'all, you know, you guys are good together, so to speak. But you know, you guys both, man, you guys do good with this thing. Hopefully, it'll be awesome for you.
Yeah, man, we sure appreciate that. And like I said, you know, guys, we've got big visions for this, and like Lane said about his pup, if you guys will just stay with us, it's bound to be something good. So make sure you guys check out our awesome sponsors. They've been really good to us and supporting us in this new endeavor. We hope you enjoyed it. We've just got a lot coming on. We're having a lot of fun doing this. So Basham, Lane, once again, thanks guys for joining me tonight. And listeners, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Be sure to follow us on our Facebook page, the Semper Doggin Podcast. You can go over there. You can interact with us over there. Drop some pictures of you and your dogs. Give us some topics on what you guys want to hear about. Tell us if we did good. Tell us if we sucked. We like to hear it all. But it's a good community Facebook page. Everybody can go over there and kind of hang out and chat and just be one another and enjoy the dogs. So, guys, until next time, keep dogging.